Alright, looks like it's about that time. Time to review Wukong. And talk a little bit about his build, how I've been using him, those sorts of things, and then do a test for him. So, let's just get right into it with his abilities. Alright. Without mods. So, Iron Jab, basically, extend your staff, poke an enemy, they will receive a hard knockdown, and as will enemies in a small radius around where you hit the first enemy. This power is okay. It does actually pretty decent damage, but I haven't found a whole lot of uses for it. It's fine. It's just a 1, so I wasn't really expecting a whole lot. Now, on the other hand, we have Defy. This power is absolutely fucking insane, and I will probably pay special attention to it whenever we're actually using this frame. It basically makes you unkillable. The short of it is that you're basically unkillable as long as you use it smartly. And I'm gonna say that that's just easier to show off in practice than it is to talk about. Basically, you keep getting your health back when you would otherwise die until you either can't restore enough, like a percentage, or you run out of energy. Those are the things that can kill you. And the first one is not very likely. You running out of energy is actually the most likely case, which is insane. Moving on, we've got Cloudwalker. So Cloudwalker is basically Hydroid's pool, but instead of doing damage and such, you have completely free movement. You can move up, left, right, whatever, and whenever you enter and exit it, you do a stumble on enemies that will allow you to use finishers on them and get some bonus damage on your melee hits. Actually more useful than it maybe sounds. I've gotten a lot of use out of the power. It's also stealthy, good for spy vaults, good for doing all kinds of things, really. Just in general, it's a good utility ability that you get a lot of use out of. And then moving on to his ult, Primal Fury. Summon the Iron Staff, unleash some fury. Basically, this is a slightly weaker version of Valkyr's 4 or Excalibur's 4. And I think it's fine that it's weaker because of some other things that you gain whenever you're using Wukong. And it has some more unique uses, I suppose, as well. Basically, the more you combo with his staff out, the longer it gets and the more enemies you can hit, which in and of itself is actually pretty good. And its starting damage is by no means bad. It's just not as high as Excalibur or Valkyr, who have insane damage values that you can get out of them. And they're both a little bit different in how they apply. For example, Valkyr, you're only using your claws whenever you're very hard to kill as her, so you're going to be using your claws 99% of the time. Wukong is incredibly hard to kill all of the time. And Excalibur, you're pretty hard to kill whenever you have your Exalted Blade, but you're by no means a tank. You're just pretty safe because of the amount of damage you're dishing out. Wukong kind of strikes the balance between those two, and you have more freedom to use your guns. But let's look at this build that I've been using right now. So currently this is what I'm using. And there are some mods here that if I were to add Forma, I think I would definitely switch out. And those mods are Stretch and Flow. So Stretch is fine, and it gives me more radius of my stun on my 3, and it makes my staff extend faster. But I think there's more valuable stuff to be had there. As for Energy Maximum, I think this mod is good, but I would rather have more strength. So basically, the go-to here would be to add Transient Fortitude and then also add Constitution to replace those two mods. Those two mods are pretty expensive though, and you will need Forma to do that. Now, the thing that's interesting here, and that I don't think I've found on any frame, is that I think the actual most right below the key mods, which are Vitality, Rage, and then my efficiency setup, is actually Handspring. Definitely more useful than Intensify, I'd say, because I found that the main weakness of Wukong is if you get knocked down and you're on the ground, that's bad. You don't, that never, no. You got to keep your combo going. You got to keep your staff super big. You don't want to be on the ground for any amount of time. So handspring is actually amazing. And that's actually part of the reason that I would say Constitution, because you get up even faster. This is 40% and this is 160%. So 200%, like way faster getting up. You're going to spend almost no time in the ground. And I think that is a huge advantage because that's kind of your only weakness. But this build is fine. I've been having a lot of success with it. It's just like Rage combined with his 2, combined with Vitality. It's incredibly hard to kill you, and we'll see that whenever I'm actually playing. But I think those changes would be very helpful, Transient and Constitution that is, in having some more strength to start out swinging a little stronger. The other thing we got to talk about is melee mods, because this does affect your 4 and your 1 also, I believe. So this is the build that I've been using on Wukong pretty much exclusively. I tried a couple other things, and this build is a little rough because we don't have exact stats on the Iron Staff yet, on exactly what its criticals are. I've seen some guesses at around 25%, and that sounds about right. So I've been using Berserker. Berserker has seemed pretty consistent, giving me a lot of like the speed that I'm going to need without using up too many mod slots. I don't really think it's worth like swapping any elemental for Fury because your damage is a little lower compared to some other alts. And a mod that I think is kind of required is Reach, Primed Reach if you have it. This increases the like starting size of your Iron Staff, which is incredibly useful for getting into those groups right away. And then Life Strike for the health restore. You actually don't really need this mod, but I like to be at full health, and I like to not have to recast my 2 as much, so I prefer definitely using Life Strike. If you feel comfortable without it, by all means add more damage, but I like having it around. And then other than that, this is just a generally good setup for the Bow Prime. I found that it works just all by itself. So, let's get into the Simulacrum and beat some dudes up with a stick. Alright, so before we do the test, let's show off the Iron Staff combos. So, the Iron Staff has a blocking combo that you can do just by holding block. Some pretty significant crowd control there, some very hard knockdowns, and the final slam is a big launch. And then we have the pause combo. Yep. This one's a little tricky to do, especially whenever your attack speed is much higher. I wish the pause on this may be more generous. Right, okay, so on the second hit, right whenever it's all the way like pulled to my right when that animation is about to end is whenever you have to start doing the attack. I wish it was changed so that it would hang there a little bit longer at all attack speeds, so it was a little more consistent to do. And then the final one is a hold. That combo is pretty good, mostly in the beginning stages, whenever you're right here. I usually stop there if I'm going to do that combo at all. But yeah, I think that the pause combo is really strong because that hits a ton of enemies. I just wish it was a little easier to do. If that was a little easier to do, I probably would not do this combo as much. But because this combo is so consistent and gets so fast, I find myself doing that one pretty much all the time, especially against tougher enemies. So let's get this test started. Alright. Oh, enemy level 80, normal testing with weapons. Alright, here we go. So I'm going to start off by immediately activating Defy and going into Cloud Walk, because I have some priority targets that need to be taken care of in these Ancients here. Because or else they're just going to be a real pain in my side. Die. There we go. I was hitting the other enemy, I was healing him. Alright. Now we can go into this. There we go. There's that knockdown. There we go. Crowd control really helps since you're not going to get the kind of damage you're going to get out of Hysteria's claws or anything. Your damage is going to be pretty high, but the crowd control is kind of what makes it, and the range is very helpful for the groups. Obviously, in more enclosed environments, you will have to deal with less ragdolling. Is that actually everyone? That was very quick. Yeah, that appears to be all the... That was really fast. That appears to be all the enemies. I think I killed a couple of them by launching them off, but that's fine. So, before I talk about the problem with Wukong, or the potential problem with Wukong, really, let's see just how tanky you are with Defy. So, still sticking with level 80, let's just take a Corrupted Heavy Gunner. See how long it takes a Corrupted Heavy Gunner to kill me. Come on. You're gonna have to shoot more than that. I think I have 2 more goes of it activating before I die. Maybe 3. I might have 3. I think it's only 2. Maybe I've got even 1 more. 1 more, or do I die after this one? Oh, I ran out of energy. Yeah, so... Wukong's real hard to kill. That was just standing in direct fire super hard. Like here. Like, if that's not like a good enough amount of like, well, how much die can you take? Well, here we go. Let's just do this. Here, can all of you just shoot me? Shoot me super good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Y'all's aim is terrible. Are you guys gonna... No? This is gonna last like pretty much the same amount of time. Like pretty close. Like not counting the reloads. Pretty much the same. And this is without moving. Like this is without like being on the move or like crowd controlling these enemies. And let's not forget, I can just like zippity-doo-dah disappear. Come over here. Take a seat. Reactivate Defy. Enemies. Boom. And now, like, we're right back where we started with Defy. I have to, like, if you're smart about the way you're doing this, like, you won't go down. You will win the war of attrition with these enemies. Like, it might take some time to kill them all, but they're not going to kill you. You are going to outlive them if you even try a little. Yeah. Really good. Really good at not dying. And being able, like, honestly, like, having the freedom of using your guns and not die. Ooh. Having the freedom of, like, being able to use your guns and not die is really huge. Because, like, that means you can use weapons that would otherwise be, like, too dangerous to use. And at, like, ranges that are too dangerous. Like, a bunch of, let's say... let's say you're using the Penta. You can fire that at point blank if you've got Defy on. Because you can't kill yourself when you've got Defy either. It's fantastic. But anyway. Let's move on to, like, the bad part about Wukong. So the bad part about Wukong is actually getting him. And it's only in some specific cases that it is that way. So for my dojo or clan or guild or what have you, the research requirements require 11 of the new resource, which is Nitane extracts, which will only come from alerts. Now, for my clan level, that's fine. That's not more than can be reasonably asked from one person. That's fine. We are guaranteed a minimum of 4 of those alerts for the Nitane a day. So that's not crazy to acquire Wukong. But I think the kind of unfortunate thing is that if you're in a really large clan, like a Moon clan, which I think is the 1,000 member tier, it takes like 1,100 Nitane. And I know that a lot of clans don't have that many active players. In fact, I'd say some clans of like that higher tier of size have about as many active players as my clan does, which is about like 5 or 6. So for us, it was no big deal to get this Nitane, but getting 1,100 for 5 or 6 people who are like the active members in a clan is gonna be a real like shit point for a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of complaints about it on the forums. But with clan downsizing coming, I think it might be like a move to get people to get rid of all of these inactive players in their clans and things like that. And I know that sucks, but it is unfortunately kind of the way it is for those larger clans. You can be in a shit position in terms of getting Wukong, but I don't really think that faults the frame at all. If anything, if we had clan downsizing prior to the release of Wukong, which we are getting on December 2nd, I think that it really wouldn't be that big a deal because people would just be getting rid of these inactive players. But regardless, I think Wukong himself is great. He's super fun to play as. He's incredibly hard to kill. Cloud Walk is like really fun. Like just being able to kind of like fly around and do whatever and observe is fantastic. Oh, also it's worth noting, this crazy fog that you see, this is just the Simulacrum. It's actually usually like a misty white fog that you can see through very well. In normal maps, it's just the Simulacrum that makes it like that. Yeah, Wukong is like super fun. Like if you want to not be able to die and have more freedom with your weaponry, then I think Wukong is a really solid choice. Because for Excalibur, you're pretty much just using Exalted Blade, and for Valkyr, you're pretty much just using Claws. And for me, I think that's really cool, and I like it. But for Wukong, you have options. Like, if you want to use a gun, you're totally free to use a gun and just be super tanky and crazy tough. And I think that's kind of the role that he's going to fill, is that he's a tank that you're allowed to use guns with. Whereas a lot of our tanks are very melee focused, because you've got like Valkyr and you've got like Chroma. In terms of hard tanks, that's kind of it. Excal to a certain degree is a tank in some ways. But yeah, he fits a really like neat role, and I enjoy playing as him. He may not be as useful as you might want in the team scenario, but super fun frame, and I'm glad that we finally have him after he's been exclusive in China for so long. Alright, hey guys, so last note here, I wanted to show off what Wukong's 3 usually looks like in mission, which is like this. You can pretty easily see through it, doesn't like go very far. Doesn't hamper your vision too much. But then also, oop, enemies there. Also, I wanted to like say thank you to you guys once again. We just went over like 2,500 subscribers, and that is just yeah. I feel like I'm gonna say this like the same words over and over every time. Like it gets to be that there are just like so many of you that want to watch my stuff, and I really appreciate it, and I can't like say thank you enough times, and I don't think it will like ever be not important to say thank you to you guys for watching my stuff and commenting and subscribing and like joining in on like the chat and the streams and stuff. It's just really awesome to like have a community of people that like are just have conjecture and stuff, I suppose. I think that stuff is all really cool, and I'm glad that you all like my stuff, or at least I would assume you do. If you don't and you're subscribed to me and you watch my stuff, then also thank you. Tell me why. If you don't like me and you're subscribed to me, let me know. I'm very interested in the reasons for that. Anyway, I guess that's all I got. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and thank you.